Hey guys, just wanted to share a rock tumbling video with you today. I'm going to be taking some stuff out of stage 1, cleaning some of it and putting it back in stage 1 because I'm sure it's not ready yet. I made this nice little chart here to keep up with what stage I'm at in the tumble and what the date was, and you know, maybe if there was something special in there I'd write that down. But you can see here I've got 2 Lortone 45Cs, 1 Lortone 33B, and a old Chicago Electric single drum that I use to make glass with, and it's not running at the moment. I've got to put some more glass in there. So today we will be checking to see what's going on inside of the number 2 Lortone 45B drum. So let's get to it. So here I have my 45C drum, which is supposed to hold up to 4 pounds. Can't really see in the video, I don't think, but the bottom is kind of bubbled out. There's some kind of buildup going on in here. So we're going to open this up and see what's inside. You can kind of use the washer to kind of pry open the lid. Let's set it down just a second. Goodness, for some reason this lid is really stuck today. There it goes. Now this is the outer lid. As you know, the outer lid comes off. You have the washer. Set that to the side, and you give it a little squeeze. Oh, and that's bad. You don't want to let that go down the drain. So this is what's inside. Looks the slurry looks to be a little thin today. So I'm going to take this outside and rinse it off. Okay, so here we are outside. We're going to take this slurry mess and slowly dump it out. Yes, this is a stainless steel strainer, which I know is supposed to be a no-no. But I haven't had any troubles yet. Just want to get as much of this slurry dumped out outside as we can. So I'm going to take this barrel back in and scrub it really good, and then we'll take a look at these rocks and see how they look. Okay, so we are back inside, and what I have here is a nail brush file, which you can get at most automotive part houses, and I'm going to use that to scrub all of this grit off of my lid. I'm not so worried about having it perfect because none of these rocks will be moving on to the second stage today, not in this tumbler. What I'm going to be doing is, if there are any that are ready to move on to stage 2, then I will put them to the side in this little container. But most of these will need at least another week, likely a whole lot more, in the stage 1 grit. So there we go, we have the lid cleaned off. Now I want to get the barrel clean. You don't want to let this stuff dry You definitely don't want it to go down the sink. You know, we all know that. So you try to get as much of it dumped out outside. They say that using things like dishwashing detergent is supposed to be bad for the rubber on your barrel, so best to just keep it wet, which I let this dry just a little bit, moving the camera back inside. You want to keep this as wet as possible so that it doesn't stick. And like I said, if you were going to be moving on with this particular barrel to the next tumbling stage, you would want this to be super clean. But since this is just going to be stage 1 stuff again, then I'm going to say that's clean enough. So, have each rock here that these have been in stage 1 for at least a week. Some of these have been in for 2 or 3 weeks now. Many people say they don't know how to tell when something is ready to move on. Well, here we've got a piece of some kind of jasper, and you probably can't tell in the video, but this has still got a lot of pitting. It feels pretty smooth otherwise, but it's got a little crack here on the edge, and it has a pit. I'm definitely going to say that needs another week. This is another piece that I think this has maybe only been in there 1 week. It's feeling pretty smooth, but it's still got a long way to go. All this is stuff you have to consider when you pick up a rock to tumble. Are you going to be willing to wait to let it run the multiple weeks in stage 1 grit that it's going to need to run in? This is going to be a beautiful piece someday. I can live with a little bit of cracks and pits, but that's just a little bit too much there. This has been in here for at least 2 weeks. I'm not sure what this is. This was very rough when I found it. And it's getting there. I'm going to give it, you can still feel with your fingernail there, a crack. I'm going to give it at least 1 more week. I put this in there. I'm not really sure if it will ever come out smooth. I don't even know what this is. It's something pretty hard. It's not a soft stone. But it's definitely got some pitting. So you want to just take this fingernail brush, especially if you're going to be moving on to the next stage today, and you want to scrub all of these little pits. You may want to even invest in a pick. There's times I've needed this pick to get little pieces of rock out of some little holes so that it would all tumble up right. So here's some more pieces. It's going to need another week. This definitely going to need another week. Wow. Just want to make sure you get any of the old grit off, because it will kind of dry up and stick on there. This is a nice little piece of jasper with something stuck all over it. I don't know if that's hematite, however you say it, stuck on there. Maybe we'll find something that's ready to move on to stage 2 today. This piece here, it's pretty close. I'm still going to say it needs another week. Here's a nice little piece of jasper. Has one little edge, one little corner that still needs a little more rounding. Now this piece of jasper I just put in last week, and it has a tiny little crack here that I think will smooth out in 1 more week. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know, to move it on to stage 2, but most of your shaping is done in stage 1. Stage 2 will just get out some of the little finer cracks. Now this one, I don't know what this is. That almost looks like a little piece of petrified wood. Otherwise it's jasper. I'm going to say that's good enough for stage 2, so I'm going to put it in my bucket over here. This piece is really cool. I believe it's jasper, and it has been tumbling. This has been tumbling for a long time, and it still has some cracks. Still has time to go. This I just put in last week, and you really just have to run water over it and feel it with your fingers. I'm going to say that needs one more week at least. Another piece of jasper here. I'm going to say it needs another week. You can still feel some fine little cracks right there. I don't know what this is. It has some polka dot action going on. And it's getting smooth. It still has a slight little bit of porous feel right there. This is some kind of neat jasper with some kind of little bands on top. And I just put this in last week, I believe, and it's smooth. It's ready for stage 2. Just a random piece of shirt here, and I'm going to say needs another week. Another piece of jasper, has a tiny little hole right there. I'm going to give it another week. Still feel the little crack in this little piece. Oh my goodness, this piece, I'm not even sure why I put it in the tumbler. This has been running longer than anything in here. I just thought it looked neat, and I thought something might appear in it the more that I tumbled it, but it is just worn away more and more. Still has some massive holes that I'm not happy about, and I probably should just take it out and throw it away. But I'm going to put it back in for another week and take up space, I suppose. I don't know what this is. I mean, it's like quartz. It has this white coating over it. And sometimes this white part won't let the stone get a real nice polish on it. I know right now it looks pretty good because it's wet, and this is still just stage 1. Has a fine crack there. I'm going to let it go one more week. Another piece of jasper. It has a crack. One more week. This piece here is just terrible. And I probably should take it out, but I'm going to let it go one more week in stage 1. Stage 1, you don't have to be too picky about things. Nice little piece of jasper here it's got some colors, some different browns. It needs another week. Another piece of jasper. One more week. A little bit of quartz here. Quartz normally comes out really good. It's got a fine little piece that you probably can't see. Be there for another week. This is going to be cool. It's got some red in it. I don't know if you can see that. But you can still feel the cracks. I'm going to give it another week. This has some really neat bands. and it's getting smooth. Still needs another week though. Alright, I just put this cool little piece in last week. And it was pretty smooth to start with. I'm going to say that's ready for stage 2. This has got some jasper with some quartz in it. That's going to look really nice. It still needs another week at least. This is some jasper with a little bit of green at the bottom. This should smooth up very well. And it's getting there. It needs one more week. I have no idea what this stone is. It looks like a conglomerate of some kind. I'm gonna say it needs, yeah, it can go one more week as well. This is a cool piece of jasper with quartz included in there, so it's got some little quartz bands, which is the only reason why I tumbled it, because it's got this huge massive crack at the back. I'm gonna let it go another week. I don't think this is really going to change this piece, but I'm going to let it go another week. This is some more of that jasper that's got some different colors on it. It's got a crack here at the back. This to me sort of looked like petrified wood. May just be banded jasper, but it has a long way to go. Here's a nice flat piece of quartz, not quartz, jasper. And it was pretty smooth to start with. I'm gonna say it's ready for stage 2. Another piece of jasper. Got a huge hole there at the end. Maybe not a bug, but a hole. Here's some jasper. It's got red and yellow jasper in it. Which is why I picked it up, but it's got a crack here at the back that I'm waiting to grind out. This piece has been in for quite a few weeks because it was pretty rough to look at, but it's got yellow jasper and some red and some kind of orange here at the back. I'm gonna let it keep going and see how it looks. It's just yellow jasper. And it's pretty smooth. Ready for stage 2. There's one more piece of something that's got bands, and I really think these bands are just going to wear down more. That's the trouble with trying to polish something that isn't just one particular type of stone. The lighter colors you see here, these lighter bands, they polish, or the silicon carbide eats it away faster than the hard jasper that's around it. So you end up with something that's got an odd texture. It's pretty smooth, so I'm going to take that out for stage 2. I think it might just get worse if I ran it longer. It's another cool piece of jasper with something else in it. And it's smooth, ready for stage 2. Don't know what this is. I don't know what these gray stones are. They feel like jasper. Might just call them chert. But I have quite a few of them in this batch. They're all about the same hardness, I feel like. This still has some cracks. This still has a crack here. Cool piece of jasper, yellow and red. This has all kinds of just random dark colors in it. And I think that's only going to look better the more it tumbles. Nice piece of little red jasper here with some yellow in it. And like I said, you just run water over it and feel it with your fingers. Jasper has this very smooth feel to it when it's wet, like you could hardly hold on to it. And you can really feel the cracks whenever it's wet. Here's a piece of quartz. Quartz is hard, and you can just keep on tumbling it away, and it'll just only get better. Neat small piece of jasper, and it still has a few little bumps on it. I don't know what this gray is, but there's quartz there on top of it, and it is tumbled out pretty smooth. I'm going to put this one in the stage 2 bucket. This is a nice small piece of red jasper. It has some bands around it, some kind of bands. It needs just a little bit more time. Stage 1. Another one of these gray stones. It's got to be jasper of some kind. And it needs a little more time. Nice tiny piece of quartz. I'm going to let it go one more week, but I don't want it to just disappear. And one more piece of jasper. It would benefit from one more week. And one little piece of something with some quartz on it. Stage 2 ready. And then what we have left in the bottom are just broken pieces that chipped off that we're going to discard outside. So there you go. We will fill this back up with some 6090 silicon carbide and let it run another week. Show you that in just a second. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and added a few more rocks for stage 1, and with the ones that have already been running all this time, to get this barrel to, 2/3 full, which is the recommended height. So what you want to do is add water. Let's try to get this barrel rinsed off good on the outside too. You want to add water, and you want to add just enough water to be at the bottom of the rocks. Here we are to the bottom of the rocks. You don't want to have too much water or else your slurry won't do right. Now what I've got here is my 6090 silicon carbide, and we're going to do 1 tablespoon per pound of rock, which who knows is probably around 4 pounds. 2, 3, 4. You want to invest in a nice stainless steel spoon. They're a lot easier to clean than plastic. And I try to keep the lid on this to keep the humidity out. So there you have the rocks with the grit. So you just take this lid that we cleaned off pretty well, and gently put it back down over and inside. And then you take the outer lid, you squeeze it down to where you look at it and you can see that it's mashed down evenly all the way around. And you take your washer, put it back on, and tighten the nut. Make sure that the outside edges are all mashed down evenly. You take a towel, wipe it off. You don't want to get this gunk all over your rollers on your rock tumbler. And then it's ready to go. You'll come over here, plug your tumbler back in, and set it on the roller. You'll want to write down what you did and what you might put in there so that you'll know when you come back, like in a week, that what stage it was in and what stage it might be ready for, because it gets really confusing if you have more than one tumbler. Alright, that's about it for rock tumbling today. So if you like this video, let me know, and maybe we can do more of these videos. This is my first attempt at a how-to YouTube video. You can see that I have a little fan going. It's on a timer because it gets incredibly hot out here. It gets over 100 degrees. I had to take the motor covers off to allow a little more airflow. It'd be nice when it's wintertime and be able to put those covers back on. This is a little noisy, but if you like to tumble rocks, this is the sound that you like to hear. So anyway, like I said, we have a Lortone 33B, that's a dual drum, and a 45C and a 45C. Each one of these 45Cs, I run stage 1 continuously, and as they get done, I put them in my bucket down there that are ready when they're ready for stage 2. And my 33B here is what that I use for stage 2, 3, and 4. So usually by the time you can finish a batch in stages 2, 3, and 4 in the 33B, you will have hopefully ground down enough stuff from stage 1 to be ready to go for 2, 3, and 4. Stage 1 takes the longest, especially when you pick up the kind of stuff that I've been showing you in this video. It takes a lot longer to grind down. So like I said, I use 6090 silicon carbide for stage 1, the 120-220 silicon carbide for stage 2. I have 500 aluminum oxide pre-polish, and stage 4 I use aluminum oxide polish. I don't know what the grain is on that. And I also have, if I need it, an extra stage of 3,500 aluminum oxide. Use that for special projects. You have this 3-in-1 oil here. That's to oil the bearings on all of these tumblers. And you can see over time it kind of makes an oily, greasy mess. But it runs. I've been very pleased with these Lortone tumblers. Had like practically no trouble out of them. I got the Harbor Freight here, Chicago Electric, in I think January of this year, 2020. And then all of the rest of these Lortones I accumulated from February through about April or May of this year. So far this setup works pretty well, having these two large tumblers to run my stage 1 and the 33B for 2, 3, and 4 stages. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. and maybe we can do some more of these. Thanks for watching.